Hey, what's up? It's The Fuel with Preston Hiefield. Thank you all so much for listening, liking, and subscribing on Substack, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. That's where you can find me. Like I mentioned last week, was off, had some broadcasting assignments back in Portland. Really fun to call some D1 college football and some volleyball in my hometown of Portland, Oregon, USA. Back in Austin now. Hitting the podcast hard. I had to go back and watch a lot of tape earlier today. It's about 3 o'clock Austin time on a Monday, but went back and watched some tape so I can give you guys some takes. You know that I don't like to give takes without actually watching the games. It's one of my big sticking points as I consume sports media. It's pretty clear when people haven't really watched the game, so I went back and watched some. Give you full takes on Oregon, Minnesota, which I watched the whole thing live on Friday night. Oklahoma's big win at Alabama, where Oklahoma was certainly the more physical team. That was crazy. Brent Venables stamping himself as one of the great defensive minds in the sport. Huge win for them. Pretty much all defense and special teams, and they get the win in Tuscaloosa. What does it mean about Oklahoma's playoff chances, Bama's playoff chances, Kalen DeBoer in Alabama? We'll talk about all of that, and then also just kind of break the actual game itself down. Michigan over Northwestern, caught much of that. Boy, Michigan easily could have lost that game. Dominic Zavada, their potential Groza finalist, misses a couple kicks earlier in the game at Wrigley Field. Northwestern had him on the ropes. Had that in my preview article last week. I had Northwestern money line. They were 11 to 12-point underdogs. Almost won outright. Michigan makes a kick at the buzzer to survive Northwestern. Boy, Michigan's offense is looking shaky. We will talk about that in a bit. What else did I say? Oregon, Minnesota, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia over Texas. Break that down just a bit. Bill O'Brien going off on a reporter. Boston College head coach Bill O'Brien, to you, going off on a reporter. And yeah, whatever else comes to mind. Those are the games that I watched, and we can talk a little Iowa USC if it comes up, a little Notre Dame Pitt, whatever comes to mind here. But let's start with Oregon over Minnesota. Ducks beat the Gophers 42-13. They actually cover the 25.5-point spread. Fox broadcast Friday night at Autzen. RG3 wearing a cowboy hat in the booth with Benetti. RG3 is so good, man. He's got all these catchphrases, more moves than a military family. He is really funny, doesn't take himself too seriously. I know that he's a little quirky for people, but I personally think he's great, brings comedic value, but also he really knows what he's talking about when he talks X's and O's, when he breaks down the replay of blocking assignments from linemen and fullbacks. Obviously, he's a Heisman winner, so he's got the pedigree. Really like RG3 on the call. I think him and Benetti are a great broadcast team. The statistical headline from this game, Dante Moore breaks an all-time Oregon record set by Marcus Mariota for most accurate passing game in program history. He goes 27 of 30, a 90% clip, so he becomes the all-time single-game accuracy leader for Oregon football. A couple of great snags in there, by the way, to help him get to that mark. That was Lanning's comment in the postgame. Kenyon Sadiq had some insane snags in this game. He finishes 27 of 30, 306. 2 touchdowns and no picks. Oregon runs as a team for 179 yards on 6 yards a carry and 4 rushing touchdowns to just 62 yards for Minnesota's rushing total, 2.6 a carry. Their QB, Drake Lindsey, redshirt freshman. Honestly, not a disaster of a night. I mean, these freshmen can go into Autzen. It can get ugly quick, but he was all right. Didn't turn the ball over, 19 of 32, 138 yards, and a touchdown. So those are the final tallies there. Great for Oregon to get Kenyon Sadiq back. He was really, really good in this game. Led the team with 8 receptions, also led the team with 96 yards and a touchdown. Almost had a second touchdown. Dante Moore overthrows him. He has to make an insane leaping grab near the goal line. Comes down with it, but is just slightly short in the end zone early on in that game. It was comfortable from start to finish for Oregon in this, 42-13 the final. The Ducks' rushing offense is totally elite. There's not been a single game this season where it hasn't looked elite. That being said, their passing game has been up and down, to say the least, and a lot of that hasn't exactly been Dante Moore's fault. The Wisconsin game was a driving rainstorm with wind. The Iowa game, number one, it's at Iowa. Elite defense on the road. Number two, DeCorian Moore's out, and Kenyon Sadiq is out. Moore missed this game as well. I think that's something that probably doesn't get talked about even enough, is how valuable DeCorian Moore and Gary Bryant are to this team. Gary Bryant essentially missed the whole Iowa game, got hurt early, missed this game. So Oregon kind of flexed with 2 tight ends. Jamari Johnson, the kid they brought over from Louisville in the offseason, had another good game. Malik Benson and McClellan were kind of the other targets. They also got the running backs involved as well. But that's kind of been the sticking point, or the thing that people have been wondering about with this Oregon team is like kind of the but. Like, yeah, I know it looks good. They're 9-1, nothing to complain about. Obviously, the Indiana loss was ugly, but if you're looking for something to complain about, it would be that the passing offense has looked far from crisp for the last month or so of the season. Indiana completely held it in check. Wisconsin, and again, largely even due to the rain and the wind at Autzen that night. And then Iowa, elite defense. You're down your top 2, eventually top 3 weapons. And it's a rainstorm. And, I mean, the rain, I think, subsided in the second half. But in general, bad, cold, wet weather on the road against a tough defense. So that's what everyone really wanted to see from an Oregon standpoint is, like, can we just see one game? Because, Mel Kiper's got Dante Moore number 1 on the big board. And I think that's unfair. By the way, Dante Moore, I was looking this up. So I was thinking about, like, who are the best quarterbacks in the draft. Dante Moore is still 20 and doesn't even turn 21 until next spring. Like, he is very, I think May, he is still very young. Mendoza's 22. He just turned 22. So he's a bit older. He's almost 2.5 years older. So, a lot of these experienced guys are that for a reason. They're just a bit older, just like Dante Moore is a bit younger. And, you get kind of lost in projecting, how good will this guy be, or do you want to go get him in the draft, or should he come back a year? And, like, there are a lot of talking heads giving their own opinion on that. I think it's probably pretty clear that Dante Moore should come back for another year just for the sake of development and because he's only 20 years old. But this was a game where you were like, all right, let's like Minnesota is not a great team. Last 2 times Minnesota went on the road, they lost to Iowa 41-3 and Ohio State 42-3. So it's like, let's see. Like, this should be a game where Oregon dominates the competition, even with DeCorian Moore and Gary Bryant out, and they did. So I think that was obviously kind of the best takeaway if you're Oregon. Like, Dante Moore looked crisp, and you dominated. That's exactly what you wanted to see, even with no DeCorian and no Gary Bryant. Let's talk about the Noah Whittington Beast Quake run for a second here. I'm just gonna watch it and play along here. I mean, I didn't think of Marshawn Lynch instantly, but then I saw it going around on social media. The Oregon football account tagged him in it. That's a beast mode run right there. He obviously almost fumbles the ball at the goal line, or does fumble the ball, gets it back in the end zone. Let's watch that one more time. I mean, dude, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Minnesota players were basically in on that pile. And then Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard, USC transfer, comes in and shoves a bunch of dudes out of the way and kind of shoves Whittington forward. That was a big-time run, man. Also, Jordan Davison, second most single-season rushing touchdowns by a true freshman in Oregon football history. He's got 12. I believe Royce Freeman had 18 when he was a true freshman. We can double-check that, but the Fox broadcast had shown that he was second all-time behind Royce. That is really impressive. Jordan Davis, man, and he's huge. 6 foot, 236, went to Mater Dei in Orange County, and he's also twitchy. Like, that one touchdown run he had was really twitchy. Got past Coy Parrish, who is borderline All-American safety, number 3 for Minnesota. So yeah, man. I mean, those are kind of the takeaways from the Ducks game. I don't think you have like some kind of massive earth-shattering take from a team that's overmatched. I mean, Minnesota's very much an overmatched opponent. The elite teams they've played this year, they've got blown out against. I think teams went at Brandon Finney a bit, and he was able to mostly hold his own. There were a couple of PI calls there that aided Minnesota drives. The Cooper Perry, hook and ladder style play where he fumbles the ball trying to pitch it backwards to Dier Hill. Obviously, that's a play that Oregon was maybe seeing how it worked in a game against a team you're going to beat. The Oregon was up 14-0 on their way to score again, and then they turned the ball over in Minnesota. I think they got a field goal out of that possession, but that was pretty much the only downside to this game. But I think that was probably my biggest takeaway is we know Oregon's a truly elite running team. Just wanted to see the pass offense step up a bit, and most accurate game in school history from the QB. So, yeah, I think those are kind of the big takeaways, man. Oregon looks really good, 9-1 overall, 42-13 win, covers the spread. Sadiq is back. The running backs look great. They're a 10.5-point favorite against USC, by the way. That started at 8.5, goes to 10.5. I will definitely do a full preview of the Oregon USC game later this week. Lincoln Riley 0-4 all time against top 10 opponents as the head coach of USC. That'll be something to watch. Oregon will be maybe 7 or 6 in the college football playoff rankings Tuesday night. Alabama obviously lost, so we'll see where they stand. Let me take a look at the rankings here real quick. A&M survives, my gosh. Georgia dominates, and obviously Bama loses. So in the new AP, by the way, Ohio State is 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Georgia 4, Ole Miss 5, Oregon 6, tied with Texas Tech, Oklahoma 8, Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10. So Oregon's the third highest ranked one-loss team, Georgia and Ole Miss in front of them, and then tied with Texas Tech. So yeah, man, I think those are your takeaways from the Oregon game. Oregon wins 42-13. Dante Moore comes back and looks really good. The running offense looks good. Mateo Uiagalelei had kind of I don't know about a breakout game, but we've kind of been wondering, like, where has this guy been all season? And he had an early sack of Drake Lindsey where Lindsey essentially falls to the ground. Bryce Betcher leads them in tackles with 6, Canada with 5, Thieneman with 4. Purchase had a really good game. Mixon had a good game. Tuioti was around. Kingston Lopa was around. Yeah, overall, really good game from Oregon. Just kind of took care of business, and you wonder if they're coasting right now, or you wonder if they're going to go for the jugular against USC. I think that's a game where Oregon could score a lot of points. USC away from home, it's an improved defense, but is it a defense that you feel great about? Of course not. Now, Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon, those are two great wide receivers. So USC, like Oregon's true freshman secondary and corners are going to get seriously tested against the passing game from USC because Mayava has improved a lot this year. Those back shoulders to Mekhi Lemon that are basically unguardable, they've kind of mastered those. And then Lemon and Lane are both so fast. They're kind of jitterbug-style receivers. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting to see how the Oregon-USC game goes. But we'll come back with a full preview of that later on in the week.